Natural beauty, you know. Yeah, no, I've never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still, I had to try. Yeah. Oh, yes. Let me get my words right and then approach you. Woman, I'll treat you like a man is supposed to. You'll never have to cry. No. I know everyone can relate to when they find a special someone. And she's royal, yeah, so royal. And I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No,
Yeah.
the way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen. She's a queen. Ooh, ooh, what a natural
New
beauty.
vibes as we
No
get
need no
set for
makeup to
Watagwan.
be a cutie. She's a queen. She's a queen. And when they ask what a good woman's made of,
Hey, what's up,
she's
Glenn?
not afraid and ashamed
Greetings,
of who
greetings.
she is. She's
Hey,
royal,
Carol.
yeah, so
Thanks for the shout out.
royal. And I need her in my life. I never knew
Hey,
anyone
Margaret.
so one of a kind until the night
As
that
we
I
get
seen
set,
your
the sound of
eyes.
Taurus Riley.
My queen, so supreme. I can see it in her eyes, the way she smiles. Hey, yes, I know the king and queen crown same time. So I never leave your side. Just stick with me
Yeah, we're
through
getting
trial
set. We're getting set.
times.
Just a few more
And she says she
minutes
no
and then we get
mind.
rolling with
Alright, I know
Watagwan.
good man is hard to find. And she can't about that giant
Change up the
line.
vibes a little
That's
bit
why
this
she
week.
has no ties at this
We have a
time.
special topic, you know.
Yeah, I know many men are trying, but she needs to be more than wine and dine because she's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life. I never knew anyone so
I don't know, Carl.
divine.
I could talk, no?
The way she moves to her own beat.
Tell me the topic and
She
we'll make
has
it
the
happen.
qualities of a queen, so supreme. Ooh, ooh, what a natural beauty. No need no makeup to be a cutie. She's a queen, so supreme. Yeah. And when they ask what a good woman's made of, she's not afraid and ashamed of who she is. She's royal, yeah, so
SD
royal.
Pen,
And
big up, big
I
up.
want her in my life. I never knew anyone so one of a kind. No, no, the way she moves to her own beat. She has the qualities of a queen, my Nubian queen.
All right, greetings, greetings. New vibes as we look at 2021, the new version of Watagwan. Welcome. My name is Donovan Simon. I'm the president for the Jamaican Canadian Association, Alberta, based in Calgary. And Watagwan is our way of connecting to the community, talking about issues that affect our association, things that affect our community, things that affect us in Canada and Jamaica, in the world. And we're going to talk about one of those topics tonight. We're going to discuss our women and what is their place. And we have some awesome guests sitting in the wings waiting to join us. But of course, before we get into that, we have to do some of the features, staples of Watagwan. And one of them is the Patwa word of the day. Patwa is the Jamaican language that we're very proud of. This one should be easy for all the Jamaicans. The Patwa word of today is bangarang. Bangarang. So if you understand Jamaican patois, right, and you would use it in a sentence, and you possibly say, depending on who you want to throw this word at, you'd say, boy, I can't take them people. Every time them come up here, bangarang. Right? So the patois word of the day is bangarang, right? And for those who understand it, let's put the meaning in the comments so we can help out those who are not familiar with our patois, because it's a really sweet language. Of course, there are some things coming up that I want people to be aware of, right? Let's look at let's look at what those are. So for those who have been on any of these webinars, the Getting Out Your Affairs in Order webinars are coming up again. There's one on November 19th at 7 o'clock. There's one on November 24th at 11 a.m. Jump on either Facebook or Instagram, search for Getting Your Affairs in Order to register for these webinars. They're really useful. I've attended and I find the topics really cool because there's some things that sometimes we take for granted or we're not aware of. We're also going to have our next general meeting on November 28th. Now, of course, I'm going to put an asterisk because the COVID-19 situation continues to be a source of concern. And who knows what the restrictions are going to be. We did have our annual general meeting on the 31st, and we'll see if there are any changes. But for now, it is still scheduled for the 28th of November. If we're not able to have it in person, we will have a virtual meeting. At our last meeting, which was our annual general meeting, we had the election of officers. I'm happy to announce that I have been re-elected as president for another term. We also elected our treasurer, Dion Messam. We elected our events coordinator, Hermelin Reed Simon. We elected our community relations coordinator, Natasha Harley, and our youth coordinator, O'Neill Randall. Joining the executive or continuing on the executive are David Pennant as vice president, Anise Thomas as our secretary, and Dorrit Marverley as our membership secretary. We're looking for an exciting year as we continue to do the work to build our community. Of course, I want to talk about a special project that is going on, something very near and dear to my heart, and we're doing a lot of work. Our building. We're getting close to launching. We're getting close to it being functional, but we need some help. We have launched a crowdfunding appeal to get some funds. And I want to spend a little time on this, not too long, because I really want to get into the topic today. There are a number of sources of funding that we're looking forward to that didn't materialize. That includes grants that we applied for. One very important one has been deferred until 2021. We have bills to pay, we have equipment to buy, furniture to buy, all the rest of this thing. So here's a link on the screen. Anybody watching this video at any point, jump on and help us. Help us cross the finish line. I'm making a personal appeal. And even if you can't donate, share the posts with somebody else. Just share it in your network. Who knows, somebody might be able to assist us, not necessarily you, and we appreciate all the help that we can get. Talking about the building, we're going to have a work day there on Sunday. So this Sunday, starting at 10 o'clock, we're going to do some work. So if you have some time and just some muscle, come and help us. Bring some gloves, bring a mask, and you don't have to have any special skill. We want to clean up the area so that the next set of trades can get in there next week. We're almost done our drywalling. They're going to start some work on mechanical and stuff next week, right? And soon we're going to have a couple more work days because we're going to have to paint that place and clean it up and all of that. If you want to get in touch with us to volunteer or anything, these are some ways to contact us: by email, check out our website, social media, or leave a message on the phone service that is there, right? And we're looking forward to seeing some people help us out as we try to make this all happen, right? All right, let's get into the meat of the discussion today. We're going to talk about our women. What is their role? And I have three awesome ladies sitting in the wings to come chat with us. Let me bring them on screen. See if we can do it. Yeah, here we go. Natasha, Ikeen, Wumi. Greetings. Welcome to Watagwan.
Evening, press. Evening, everybody.
Evening.
Good
All right.
evening. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure. And, I know Wumi and Ikeen are not originally from Jamaica. So, Bangarang, you understand
No.
that? All right, we're going to have some. All right, we're going to turn this into a Bangarang then, just for the fun of it. The discussion tonight is going to be about our women, their place in the community. Recently, I spoke at a conference. Ikeen is familiar because it was put on by the Center for Newcomers. And, we were talking about a range of different topics. And one topic that came up in the discussion, and, we discussed race and culture, was the place for a woman. And I thought it would be ideal to bring it out in the fore and have a discussion on Watagwan, right? Because despite all the movements and the women's liberation movement and the rights of women and all kinds of things, there seems to still be some issues and concerns as it relates to the place of our women, Black women in society. And maybe where I want to start is this truth or is this a myth? And Wumi, I'm going to start with you because and I want to big you up. Congratulations on recent recognition in Alberta, outstanding immigrant in the arts and all kinds of things. So big up and continue to do what you're doing. But
Thank you.
let's start with your perspective. Is it a truth or a myth? Are there still issues about how we see our women?
Yes, I would definitely say it's not a myth. It's definitely realistic. You don't see women in a place of power. They are always, relegated as just secondhand. In boardrooms, you rarely see women sitting in those spaces. And it's really sad because, women are a source of strength, and we are always, pulling people together, just our abilities. And we're always thinking outside of the box too. So it's very, very interesting how we're basically underutilized, if that makes sense. We're ready to jump in and assist, and we have all the same capacity as a man. But I think it's just because it's been programmed that we are less able. So that's why we keep being kind of sidelined and ignored, but we're very powerful.
And I totally agree. But let's dive down into that a little bit. And Ikeen, I'm coming to you. Why has it remained? So, Wumi brings up some interesting points, and it seems to be going on for a long time. And she talked about it being ingrained. Why hasn't it changed? What's your take?
I think it starts from when we're young, it's the way we're brought up, even down to the toys that we're given as girls and boys. The girls, the dolls and the nurturing, and it sort of carves your way into what you're supposed to be, as opposed to the boys are boisterous and they can be how they want to be. And in society, there's a place like, for instance, a man is supposed to be strong and whatever, and a woman's supposed to be really emotional and just want to, I guess the goal of a woman is eventually to have children and get married and stuff like that. As for the man, can be boisterous and be how he wants to be and be career chasing. And also I feel like the family traditions don't help the culture. I'm from Nigeria, so the culture is very inbred that Nigerian woman, even though we're becoming more diverse now and speaking out more, but there's definitely places for a man and a woman. And even amongst ourselves as women, if you're not married or haven't got children by the age of 40, and I've experienced it through my sister, it's a frowned upon, as if something's wrong with you. Why are you going that direction? It's, as if you're not successful because you've chosen not to do that, but in society it's frowned upon. She even once went out with someone who thought, wow, so no one's tasted the goods, that means something's wrong. No, that's how deep it is. And it's like, and then eventually unconsciously it gets in your system as if, it's, oh, don't worry, we'll pray for you. But who said I wanted children? Like, it's an automatic sort of thing. But for a man, he can be unmarried until, don't worry, he can find a young woman and marry. Men are okay. But for a woman, you're old after a certain point. Who wants you? So all these things are inbred in your mind and your mentality. And it's from young. All the way, the expectations for a woman and a man really varies.
So what I hear you saying is that some of it is a function of culture. And Natasha, I'm coming to you on this one. Some of it is a function of culture, but is some of it a function of also maybe being self-inflicted? Uh, Akin talked about the way we are brought up, and we are brought up in many cases in homes that have a lot of dominant women playing those roles. Because I know Jamaican culture. So here we are discussing an issue about how women are being treated when in many cases culturally some of that is coming through a system dominated by women. What is your take by that?
Wow. So yes, I do agree that, for instance, in Jamaican culture, most of the households are dominated by women, but that's under a patriarchal society still. So you still have it's disjointed. And so you're asking if if Black women bring issues on themselves. Is that what the question is? I just want to be clear.
Well, yes and no. I'm saying based on a system where, like I know you rave about your grandmother, but
Yeah.
some of the things that are perpetuated are actually instilled by some of the women in these lines, right?
Very true. So one of the things that I'm kind of trying to put up a stop against is this tired narrative of the strong Black woman. And I think that it's been placed on us, but we've taken that on, and it's caused us to endure. We're not supposed to feel, we are not supposed to hurt, we're supposed to always hold it together and be strong and just take whatever life throws at us and just keep moving. And that's not true. Black women, we are soft, we feel, we are emotional, we need to be held, we need to be coddled. But oftentimes we don't give each other space for that. If we see our sister and she might look pop down, as we say, or she looks like she's going through something, people start susu, judgments are made, people look at you, they shun you instead of holding you, right? So yes, in that respect, I do believe that we kind of bring certain things onto ourselves, or that things are self-inflicted. I grew up that way. I was surrounded by strong women, or so I thought. But as an adult looking back, these women were struggling. And oftentimes with Black women, we're struggling with so many things. We don't even realize that we're depressed, that we're anxious. There's so much pressure on us. And then we're expected to put a smile on and get dressed and show up and be our best. So yes, I do think that there's some of it that is self-inflicted, and it's become a part of our identity, but it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
So is there the need then, and Wumi, I'm circling around to you because you express yourself in the arts, and there are a lot of women in your group, Wuzu and all the rest of that. How do we get more of the expressions from our women to help create, I don't know if balance is the right word, but more visibility to all the sides and all the parts?
We have to speak up more. Silence is not golden. Whatever it is that we're going through, we have to be able to rely on each other's strength. And the stigma of, oh, I'm going to be judged if I tell them I'm feeling this way. A friend of mine, Nikita, she actually came out to say, I'm struggling with depression and this is my problem. And she was able to speak about that boldly at an event. And I was so proud of her, because you rarely hear Black women talk about those issues and how they're overcoming it, and how those issues, span from different things that they're facing, or even traumas from childhood. So I think it's just speaking out more and being bold in that regards, because you don't want to commit emotional suicide because you're trying to look a certain way to please people, or to allow people to feel that you are, you have no issues, you have no problem, you're just living the life, the best life that you can, but inside of you, you're dead. So it's interesting in that way. Find friends who you trust, family members who know you and understand you and continue to rely on the community in that way. And I know a lot of Black people, they have a lot of mental issues, but they don't want to figure out how to find a solution for that because they don't want to be shunned under. And that most of them too, being females, being that strong female that Natasha was talking about, that you have to have this bold face and, you know, like a Teflon Don type of attitude, like nothing can happen to you. It's hard to come back to be soft and cry and be emotional and try to cry for help, because they will look at you and say, what's going on here? Instead of trying to, you know, be compassionate and be helpful for you. So I think it's definitely important to have a surrounding of collective people who see and understand how it feels to be a female.
Yeah, but isn't there a flip side to that? And Ikeen, I'm going to throw this one at you because, you know, you talk about the goods, you know. So isn't there the need to have a certain image in order to be attractive, and therefore maybe some of what Wumi is talking about has to be, you know, massaged and covered up? Because if not, how do the male of in the community respond when, boy, you know, you look like a pure drama, you have pure problem, and when Natasha say you pop down, you can't look that way there.
About you guys, but it started from school. Like, I think from school, like, I don't know what happened, and I'm going to keep it real. I don't know what happened to the Black boys during the teenage years, but it's like they tended to go for like the white girls. And so in a sense, it was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why are you guys? And I asked one guy and he was like, oh, you guys are too tough. You know, too much drama. You are too like strict, maybe because, and to me, we had values and we had certain standards. But then it made me feel like, what, are the white girls just loose, or what's going on there? And then later on in the years, as the men come out of that, the boys come out of that cycle to men, then they come back to the women. But I do feel like there's a certain, I feel like as Black women, we fight a lot of battles, some unnecessary, some necessary. And I feel like it's just like Wumi said, it's about wanting to be heard. And so I feel like a lot of us have witnessed relationships that our mothers have suffered. And so you come out of it and you're like, I'm not gonna be in the hands of a man like that, the way my mum just stayed quiet and just did what she needed to do because of, again, society, what they think. So you can't hold a marriage, you can't, but you're suffering in silence. So you come out with this sort of, no man's gonna treat me like that. But in the same breath, you know, sometimes those barriers also can cause a defense where people think you're too strong, you're too hard. And another thing is that I don't understand when men really get intimidated by a strong lady, or a lady that's, and I know you're laughing because we've had this conversation before, but a lady that's like got her path, and I don't know why people find that so intimidating for a Black woman. And I find a lot of men, and I'm going to keep it real, a lot of men are not on a standard that they, in my opinion, should be at a certain age. So when you are already there, it's already intimidating. And the way to make themselves feel good is to try and break you down. And again, going back to that sort of toxic sort of relationship, that I feel like women, in a sense, have to be strong and feel like, you know what, I have to try and do this on my own, whether it's on my own or whoever, but I have to do me. And that becomes a facade or whatever we have to upkeep. But again, it's tiring. Like everyone says, it's exhausting. It's like, accept us for who we are. We come with baggages, true enough, but still, you know, these baggages came from somewhere. They didn't just come from the air. And there's a lot of what we witnessed in our youth, what we've seen in generations, and still what we're seeing today that still informs us that we are an angry Black woman, that we got too much attitude. And I don't know where that comes from. You know, it's all those things. Yeah.
But is there a certain component about all of this that is a little bit of a cycle? And Natasha, I'm coming to you because, you know, I know your son, and, you know, one of the things I keep thinking about is, how do we break this cycle so that our men, as Ikeen mentioned, have a better understanding and appreciation? Because there's almost this double whammy of, well, I want him to have feelings, but I want him to be male and macho because that is what I expect of men. Talk to me a little bit in terms of the role that we play here, and women as mothers, in preparing the next generation of men to understand some of these things that we're talking about.
Wow. So, I mean, yes, I'm a single mom. I have a son. I'm very candid. I believe change starts kind of, at home, and then you have a ripple effect. So with my son, I'm very candid about my experiences. Depending on what's age appropriate, I share openly with him my experiences, and encourage discussion with him. I do that in the hopes of helping to prepare him to be a good partner to a woman when that time comes. I believe that we need to have some serious, raw discussions about, so these issues that we Black women are facing with our Black men, they're there. But the question I always ask, and I know I ruffle feathers, but I ask it because I am a boy mom, is who's raising them? Is it not mostly Black women? We're raising them, right? So when they become problematic, and if it starts in childhood, we need to start talking to Black women, which leads me to these double standards that we often find, right? So you've got a mom who has, she's got her son and she's got her daughter. And oftentimes the son gets away with whatever, turns a blind eye, enables, makes excuses, but is hard on her daughter, right? The things that her son does, her daughter could never get away with. I've seen this play out in the Black community so many times. It cuts me to my core. So I really believe if we want to see this thing turned on its head, and if we really want to have, see a change in the relationships that we're having with Black men and the way we as Black women feel about the way we're being treated, we need to start looking at what is happening in the home. How are our Black men being raised? Because I can tell you that I'm not a perfect mom, and I've caught myself sometimes where I'm like, uh-oh, you know what? I got to be careful here because I'm teaching him how to show up in the world. And one of my biggest fears is him growing up to be in a relationship and I'm on the receiving end of hearing a young woman talk about how whatless my son is, or how he broke her heart, or what have you. So I really, really am trying to.
But I'm still have to break her heart, though, you know. I can't just live so.
Well, it depends on how he does it. And he already knows I am not that mom that is going to sit here and pacify bad behavior, because I'm a woman first. He's my son and I love him, but I'm a woman first. And there's certain things, we talk about things, he's 15 now, right? We talk about sex, we talk about relationships. There are things I am not putting up with. So I just think that that's a conversation that we Black women need to start having, is who's raising these,
Yeah, but is that a conversation? And it's good that we're having this conversation here. But does this conversation truly happen within the community of women in a real way, right? Where some of these things can be looked at, a woman coming to you with that in terms of, this is true, we contribute to some of the ways that we are seen, and we also contribute to some of these solutions, which is not magic, it's going to take some time. But is that conversation truly happening among the women in our community?
To be honest with you and candid, I doubt it. A lot of women don't see what they're doing in terms of parenting as an issue. Putting so much weight on the female to continue to do the domestic things, continue to clean up the house, cook, and the son is going out, is doing drugs, is having girlfriends. They're not watching that. They're not trying to nip that in the bud. But for the woman, she has to be the proper, educated, you cannot mess up your life because, you're going to make us look bad. But for the boys, they can do whatever they want to do. And if you notice, the generation of men now, they're very interesting. I'm also a single mom, by the way, Natasha. I have 2 daughters, and I am shocked. And I'm single because men see me and see a strong woman, and they're like, she's going to be too hard to deal with, and without even getting to know me. So if I'm projecting that type of attitude, that type of, awareness of who I am, like, it's not like I don't need a man. I would like to have a man, but I want a good man. But I would not tolerate a man that's just there because he thinks he needs to fill a shoe. I'm not interested in that. So it's more or less having that discussion amongst each other and speaking about why all these inequities. Why are we allowing the boys who are going to be married to girls someday soon to continue to live their life anyhow and mess up the way they think, look at women as properties, as just, their body shape. Like my daughter tells me boys are in school, gloating at her. And I was like, really? And she's like, why are they looking at me like I'm a piece of meat? And she's only 15. So imagine when she goes to university. So it's more or less having those discussions and nipping those attitudes in the bud now when your children are in your house. And a lot of the boys too, they don't know how to cook and clean. Like my mom and my dad were not having it. They're like, my only brother, he knows how to cook, he knows how to clean. His wife right now is like thanking my mom because she raised him properly. But most African and most Black and most Caribbean, it's never that way. The boys are out there playing soccer while the woman is cleaning, is cooking, she's doing everything. And transferring that type of mindset in the woman, when she gets to that marriage state, she will continue to slave. And that's not what you want.
Yeah, and I can cook, by the way. Akin, the things we're talking about then translate themselves into the professional sphere, doesn't it? There's still the sense that there is inequality in our workplaces, in our professional spheres, even if these are Black-owned businesses and organizations. What is your take on why is that happening?
Again, it's the mindset that's been like going on for so long. Like I'm just so overwhelmed what I heard from Natasha and Wumi. It's so, because it's the truth. Like, it's the mindset that's, unfortunately, it's the same people coming into the work settings, right, with the same mindset of how women should be and how men should be. And if you're a woman and you're in a place of authority and you're trying to be corrective in certain things, she's deemed as a bitch rather than someone who's assertive. But if it was a male, it's okay. Like, it's really hard to see women in really high places without her being condemned in some way or seen as mannish. She's very mannish, and what does that mean? What does that look like? So it's the same people coming in, no matter what. We're human beings coming to work with the same mindset. It's going to play out wherever you are. Like, oh, we need people to carry. Where are all the men? Oh, so I'm not unable. I can carry some boxes. And it's the same thing, but we are double standard, like Natasha said, very much so. Like, even though we talk about the women and we want to empower ourselves, but sometimes we want to empower ourselves, but then we want the mannish, we want to be treated like a lady. We want to be, and those things are good, yeah, but then have the same standards all throughout. Not some standards, I want to be here, and then some standards I want to be here. It's confusing too for a man. And I feel like in the workplace, it's the same thing. I think that as women, I think we have to hold a standard. And unfortunately, with the way society thinks as well, women are a disadvantaged group, especially as a Black woman. That's even another layer that you have to unpeel.
Yeah. So let's go down another path, because one of the things that came up, and I saw a comment in that in the single parent home, and I've had conversations like these with friends who are single moms, to say, as much as you love your children, as a single mom, you can never be a dad.
Yeah.
And how do we address some of those issues, Natasha, and how does community play a role in that?
Sorry, I'm getting teary-eyed.
No, man, not cry.
It's not easy. I'm always looking for good men, Black men, that can step into some type of mentorship role for Kamari. Because I know that I cannot be all things to him. There's that whole sentiment that, single moms and we can do it all. And I've even started kicking out at people wishing me happy Father's Day. I said, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm a mom, but I'm always looking for mentors for him. One of the beautiful things is that he loves to play basketball, and he's very talented at that. And through basketball, he's met some wonderful mentors. Even gentlemen like yourself, Prez. You don't get to see Kamari often, but you make an impact on him. You know, the way that you talk to him, the way that you treat him like a whole human being, it's not lost on him, you know? I think that we need more mentorship. We need to be more, we need mentorship on purpose. We need to be more deliberate in filling that gap, especially in the homes where it's a mom raising a boy. Cause yeah, there's been times where Kamari's come to me with an issue and I give him my take on it. And I'm like, go out into the world. This is how you do it. And then he'll talk to a man and he'll be like, oh my gosh, of course your mom would say that. She's a woman. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm like, oh, you know.
So don't pay the bill all the time.
Yeah. So I just think we need to be more deliberate about mentorship in our community, and not just in passing at cultural events. Not, you know, we need to be more deliberate, but we need to find a way to actually pull our youth, because that's the other piece of it too, right? Is how do we get them so that we can mentor them? We need to kind of start drawing them out.
Yeah. Yes, Akeem.
Can I just jump on top of that?
Oh, yeah.
We shouldn't get it twisted. I'm married and I have 4 children, but there's many people in marriages that are raising children on their own. The father is there, but they're not there. They're not present. Like they hardly, like they go out, they work or whatever. Or even there's so many homes now, especially in our community, where the husband works abroad and he comes in like maybe once every 3-4 months and stays for 2 weeks and he's off again. So there's many households, even when the father's there every day, he might as well not be there, because you're basically doing everything on your own. So again, it's a facade. There's a lot of marriages that it looks good from the outside, but inside they're struggling just as much as the person that's a single mom. She's a single mom as far as she's concerned.
Are we back to the concept then that, you know, it's all about the village. It's all about the disparate parts in community to address this whole concept of the place of different people? And maybe it's not so much a case of the place of the woman, because you know, I plan to do a show with the men, because I'm sure there's a story that the men will all come with to say, boy, here's our stake and our issues, right? But Wumi, is it back to this concept of the village? Did the village concept work?
It definitely works. You know, surrounding my children with community. My best friend, she has 6 kids. She has a husband. I bring them around that family so they can see how family dynamic works. They have a godfather, Dr. Sam Iwar. He's a relationship coach and he was a doctor. He was part of our networking event. He's their godfather and he has a family too with children. So bringing them around people that have a, you know, husband and wife that's functioning properly, not dysfunctionally, it helps. And also having projects like the Black Youth Project from Action Dignity. The Black stands for Becoming Leaders, Acquiring Critical Knowledge. That's the acronym. And they have monthly events for the youth. Those are a way to also build community with each other, because it's really hard to find Black youth, men and female, to be able to connect with. So I surround myself in community in that way to continue to bring my children around so they can learn around what they need to do, who they need to meet, who are good, who are bad. And my children are able to also identify a bad seed from a good seed. If they're coming to me and saying, so-and-so friend tried drugs, mom, they know that that's not a good friend, because that friend was trying to peer pressure them. So I don't know, the light just turned off. Don't know what just happened, but we'll figure it out.
We come from Jamaica, we're power cut all the time.
But it's very interesting, because at the end of the day, they said that it takes a village to raise a child. And I was raised by my grandparents, my uncles, my aunties back in Nigeria. And they take it very seriously to raise a child in the way that they see community. And I have so many amazing memories that I've stored from just being around them. And I continue to have that niche. I want that around my children. I want that around myself, because I know the importance. So yes, it's very critical.
All right, one last question. I mean, we could keep this one going for a long time. What is the role of women in correcting the way they are seen? I mean, there could be 10 things, but I want to get one. Akeen, I'm going to start with you. Your role in sharing your place and ensuring that people understand what that place should be as it relates to women in society or in our community?
I think, like when we said, not being silent, but also being, I don't like just talking. I like people that put it into action. So be the example, you know, so for your children, for your home, for outside, for your workplace, be the example. So as again, through your actions, they're seeing how a woman should be, or how they should treat a woman, how they should be, is through the examples that you show. And also not being quiet when you see things that are not right, speaking on it. Not in a rude way, but in an assertive way that people get the message across.
Natasha, what role do you play in ensuring that society and our community see women and accord them the right place?
Kenny kind of covered everything. I guess I could build off of that and say being a source of support for my sister, for my Black sister, for another Black woman. Yeah, I don't want to repeat what it can, because you really just you really covered that one so beautifully. But I would say that really standing up and being that change. So being that source of support for my Black sister. If I see disadvantage being taken of her, standing beside her. If I see her and she's broken, holding space for her, holding her, talking to her, making time, just providing that support, being, I guess you could call it that soft place to land. That's how I think I could, yeah. And raising my son properly. Mm-hmm. We're still on that path there.
Still working through it. All right, listen, this has been awesome. Lots of great discussion, lots of great solid points to get across about the place of a woman in community. Ikeen, Natasha, Wumi, thank you for being on Watagwan, and thanks for sharing some real good information and perspectives. We'll possibly have to do this again, because I don't think we'll cover all of the items, right?
True.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Take it easy.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Watagwan, I tell you.
Bye.
Good vibes, good discussion about the place of a woman. Before I go, I there are a couple of things that the association is doing that I definitely want to share before I take off. So we have some masks that are being sold as we're doing everything to try and raise funds for the building. So one of our members, everybody have to wear masks now, right? Well, you don't have to, but it is required in some places, recommended by some of the professionals. 2 masks for $20. And when you do that, you get a third one for free. You've got our contact information. You can call us, you can email us, you can text us, you can jump on the website. 2 for $20, you get 1 for free. Support it. It's just part of us trying to raise some funds for our building project and trying to get it to the finish line. Again, I implore you, if you're on the show, jump on our website, jump on our social media. Help us through the GoFundMe that we have going to get this building project done. In that space, we're going to do a lot of things. I want to give you a sneak preview. We have a program that we have already designed around helping young men become adults, moving them from being boys to men. So lots of things that are planned for that space to help in our community. For those who join late, Patois word of the day is Bangarang, right? If you know what Bangarang means, throw it in the comments. Next week, we're going to have another episode of Watagwan at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And that episode, we're going to discuss community leadership again. The last time we had it and it was hot, enough vibes. And, we're responding to the comments. So let's continue that conversation. So we're going to have that conversation. And on the 20th, we're going to take another stab at a touchy topic. We're going to talk about cannabis. And we're going to apply a Black perspective to it. How some of our Black entrepreneurs and our Black farmers and, people with perspectives on, the weed will share some of what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they've seen, right? So we're going to have a discussion on cannabis, a Black perspective on November 20th. So next week, Community Leadership Part 2, what does it take? And then on the 20th, we're going to talk about cannabis, a Black perspective. And on the 27th, we're going to have a discussion about reggae and dancehall and, you know, the status of it in Canada. So thanks for joining Watagwan. As always, we ask you to like our page, jump on the page and do a share. Check out our website, check out our social media and share. And of course, you know, I can't stop asking. This is a personal appeal. Help us out with the GoFundMe, right? We need some dollars to help us finish the project. Tribute to the women today. So we're going to play the Tarrus Riley, right? As we leave. Take care. Stay safe.
Natural beauty. Girl, no, I've never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try. Yeah. Oh, yes. Let me get my words right and then approach you. Woman, I'll treat you like a man is supposed to. You'll never have to cry. No. I know